Alright, and I'm on. Hello guys. So, this video is going to be titled, The Truth of Libertarianism. Sorry, my hair is messing up. Alright, yeah. So this video is going to be titled, The Truth of Libertarianism. Now, I'm going to say, when people talk about, we need this much laws, or this much government, or whatever, what they usually do is they say, alright, they look at it through somewhat of a practical means, where they'll say something like, we need this and this much government because, say, it supports a certain part of the economy, or it supports, I don't know, maybe national parks for schools and we need this, or they'll say maybe we don't need a certain amount of government. Will go on the other side and they'll say, oh, because having this much government causes a problem in the economy, and these regulations discourages people from starting businesses and starting a job and whatnot, and therefore, we don't need that much government. And typically when you see people who talk like this, they'll say, oh, well, rather they believe in a lot of government or a little government. Typically they'll believe that we need some government controlling some part of our lives, right? I mean, ultimately, even those who believe in the smaller government in the pack say, yeah, smaller government's better, but we do need some government controlling our lives. We need some authority in our lives for some reason, right? To, take a certain amount of control of us. That's only natural, and they'll often say it's important because we need people to learn to respect authority and the things above us. And ultimately, you look at it and, like, the liberals who believe in a lot of government and the conservatives who believe in a bit less, the conservative libertarians essentially aren't any different. They're only picking their, quote, amount of government because they want to pick the one that to them is the most practical, or the most useful. And I'm just going to say, no, that's not what libertarianism is about at all. Whatever, no. What libertarianism is about is the idea or the concept that the authority or the government is just wrong. I mean, what it comes from is a moral concept. It's not a practical thing, it's a moral thing. It's the difference between right and wrong in behavior. And one of the things I notice is that there is a morality to freedom. There's a morality to liberty. There's a morality to letting people live. Whereas when you look at, authoritarianism, it becomes very immoral, very hurtful. And so we have to define what is morality. What makes something right and what makes something wrong. Well, I'd hope that most people who would end up watching this would say that murder is wrong, right? Okay, so murder is wrong. What makes murder wrong? Now, some people would say, oh, murder is wrong because, in the Ten Commandments, God says that murder is wrong. And then there are people who would say, well, murder is wrong because government has said that murder is illegal and overall it hurts society. That's completely the wrong answer. Murder, they say, is wrong because it overall does less good for the production of society or whatever. That's complete bullcrap. You're taking the emotions. I mean, yeah, it's true that murder would hurt society in that way, and that's why government has made it illegal. But what you're doing is you're saying that we are like the government's livestock, and the government's the farmers, and obviously they don't want people killing their livestock, right? It takes all of, like, the true meaning, or the emotion behind why murder is wrong, the true value of why murder is wrong, alright? It has nothing to do with efficiency in society at all. Alright, in fact, there have been people who have justified murder by saying these people are slackers and quote-unquote less evolved, and therefore we have to kill them for efficiency. You know, like in Nazi Germany, apparently the Jews were considered to be a drag on German society. I don't know if you'd consider that true or not, but they're a drag, so Hitler killed them, right? If you view right and wrong just based on what the law says and what's practical to society, then you're lacking deeper inner meaning, you know, of what the truth is. The reason murder is wrong is because, to start out, every individual is born with some rights, some basic rights. They do not have the right to enforce their will upon others. No one is born with that right. It is their right to their own life, to their own body, to their own property if they obtain property somehow. It's their right to themselves. That's what it is. That is why you can't murder people, because when you murder someone, you hurt them. You don't only hurt them, you hurt anyone who is close to them. See what I'm saying? Murder hurts people. That's why it's wrong. It has nothing to do with what any outside entity has said. Nothing to do with what government or what God has said. Alright? No, it has nothing to do with any authority. It comes within them, within each individual. A person is born with the right within them innately to live. That's the right, period. It's not granted upon them. It's not given to them. It comes from them, and it is them, and it's theirs. Just innately. Alright? I don't know if you're gonna say maybe like the universe, or it's a deeper spiritual value. I don't know. You know, some people maybe more spiritual may say, you know, that there's a deeper universal value to it. I don't know. The only thing I'm here to say is that that right belongs to them, and when you take that, you're hurting them, you're taking from them what's theirs, and you're hurting the people around it. So that's two reasons murder is wrong, because they're born with the right to live, and it hurts them, and hurting people is immoral. You know, when you see people who goes around, you know, like, shooting people or stabbing innocent people or whatever, what they're doing is wrong. A lot of times people say, oh, they're doing it because they're a narcissist or a sociopath or whatever, and that could be true. But murder, the problem with murder, it being right and wrong, it doesn't really have to do with you. It doesn't have to do with the murder itself. It's the person's right being taken away who's being murdered. Alright, and so how does this all relate to libertarianism? Well, there's a morality behind libertarianism, behind liberty, right? Because, say, if someone has a right to their property, right? And their life. So, if I try to kill someone, point a gun at them, and they kill me, oh, it's dead. Alright, so what was that? That would have been self-defense, right? And I have every right to defend their right to live, so long as they're not initially trying to take away that right. I also have the right to freedom. I have the right to not be locked in a cage or kidnapped. You know, if someone tries to kidnap someone else, bang, they shoot the kidnapper right in the head, the kidnapper dies, the kidnapper got what he deserved. He died. And because someone else was defending their rights and what they have. You know, you have the right to freedom. You have the right to live. You have the right to defend your rights, even to the point of using force and to kill other people. Because once people use force against someone, they essentially are giving up that right. Now, let's take a look at, you know, authority or government. When they say they pass a law, right? And they'll say something like, you know, you have to pay your taxes. What they're going to do, or let's say the government passes a law, they said you need to pay your taxes, and let's say someone doesn't want to pay those taxes. Alright, someone doesn't want to pay those taxes. So what are they going to do? Well, first they're probably going to send threatening letters, emails, right? Eventually, what they're going to do is they're going to try and lock that person in a cage, and if that person resists them, points a gun at him, that person tries to defend his right to freedom, they're going to shoot him, they're going to kill him, they're going to take his right to life, they're going to murder him. Right? Alright. All of a sudden, that law that you have to pay your taxes starts to look a little bit less moral now, doesn't it? Yeah, exactly. Because it is immoral. You see, that's why, ultimately why libertarians should reject laws. That's ultimately why people should be pro-freedom. I mean, you see so many people these days who are, quote, pro-liberty, and they're like conservative tough guys, and, we're gonna spank our kids. And you look at these bozos, they have no clue why you support freedom. They have no moral understanding. They have no moral value of what freedom really is. Freedom is not hurting other people. That's what freedom is about. Freedom is not just it's most practical for society to run. People can make an argument, oh, taxation in a certain way is going to be helpful. No! They just believe that society runs smoother with freedom. And all that is us being livestock to the government, right? Just a farm to the government. It's not about obeying authority. And it's the same way with spanking. People are like, oh, we need to spank our kids. Spanking is helpful, because spanking can teach them to act a certain way or whatever, and teach them to respect authority and respect adults or whatever. Taunting guns everywhere, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I know. Stupid. But anyways, alright, spanking your kids is wrong, alright? Spanking is not okay. That, you're hurting someone. You have the right to not be physically injured. When you spank someone, you're hurting them. Alright, even if it doesn't physically hurt, you're humiliating them, you're using force against them. Spanking is not okay. You could make the argument that, spanking and punishing a child turns them into a better person. Although, personally, the studies show otherwise, and it all depends. Like, there are people who found ways to train their children and discipline them without punishment. That has been done. It's not impossible, as all these Christian parents will tell you, because, the Bible says it, right? Therefore, it has to be true. But spanking and punishing your children is wrong because it hurts them and violates them in a way. And it's the same reason murder is wrong. The same reason stealing is wrong, because someone worked hard for something that they own, that they need to own. When you steal that from them, you hurt them. You take away what you have, you cause them loss. They no longer can utilize that resource that they've worked hard for. See, that's the same reason stealing and murder and rape are wrong, and that's what people don't get in society, is they look at it just through a practical means, or they'll say a double standard. Like the government says stealing is wrong, and stealing's not okay, right? But the government can still charge taxes. A complete double standard, and you see this reoccurring with authority in general, whether it be parental authority or government authority, or like theological authority of like what God has over the people. There's always a double standard. It's always, thou shalt not steal, but I can still tax you. It's always, thou shalt not murder, but if you resist my stealing, I can kill you, or I can start a war and kill a bunch of people. Alright? Do you see that libertarianism, the libertarian ideology, the non-aggression principle, it's based on morality and the way you treat others. It's based on loving your neighbor. That's what it's about. Alright? That's why when the government puts people in jail for doing drugs, well, all these guys are just like, well, we need drugs to stay illegal because society would just fall apart if they were made legal and whatever. That's a really practical reason, but locking someone in a cage for putting something in their body they want, completely immoral. It's the same as kidnapping. Alright, the fact that you establish yourself as an authority technically is a logical fallacy, and it doesn't make the crime you're doing any better. It doesn't change the fact that you're hurting someone. Alright? Authority doesn't mean shit. it doesn't mean shit. Alright? It doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. It's still hurting someone when you do something like that. And that's why I'd support libertarianism, that's why I'd support anarchy, because it takes it from the practical argument of what supports society best, again, to the moral argument. Thanks for watching. Auf Wiedersehen.